Oop, my boyfriend still can't get over his ex from 8 years ago. I'm not the oop. This was posted in our relationship advice by you, Feta and Olive Smell. Link. The 9th of October 22. My boyfriend still can't get over his ex from 8 years ago. Original. My boyfriend, 29M, and his ex, 29F, had a relationship 8 years ago, lasting half a year. He and I, 27F, have dated for 6 years now. In between, he dated another girl that he does not care for at all. Edit. She was his 4th girlfriend. I was his 6th. The relationship with his ex that he can't move on from ended on bad terms when he had left his country for my country 8 years ago. He asked her to wait for him, but she said no. Then, she had a new boyfriend shortly after. It devastated my boyfriend. Now let's fast forward to him and I. When my boyfriend first dated, I was uncomfortable and upset at all the girls he followed on Instagram. He unfollowed them and his ex. At first, sure, I was immature back then, but I deleted all my past hookups for him. A few which I would call friends. So couldn't he do the same to respect me? However, I guess looking back I should have saw the potential red flags when he then secretly added his ex back on all his social media. I didn't pressure him to remove her then, but I knew she was always going to occupy his mind. I knew I could never mean more to him than her. Even so, I still went for it. Now we've been dating for 6 years. Recently my boyfriend has gotten back to his country to visit. Since we've dated, he has never gotten back due to COVID and other reasons. I was super excited for him to visit his friends, his family, and enjoy amazing food. However, I can't help but to think that this trip revolves around his ex. He was telling me his plans for the day and he conveniently told me he was going to meet his ex. She was the one who asked and he jumped at the chance to. Of course he didn't need my permission to. He's a grown man. At least he was open about it and didn't hide it. However, he said he knew it would hurt me. He was asking 3 other friends for advice and one of them warned him of her. Due to the time zone difference, he told me not to lose sleep over it. That he promised he wouldn't do anything dumb. He told me that she already had a 2-year relationship. Of course I was going to lose sleep over it. Of course I was super hurt. And he absolutely knew that. He kept describing her as some snake. As if she was going to make moves and he would have to resist her temptations. So why did he have to meet her if he saw it as a trap? That night I had 3 hours of off again on again sleep because my mind wouldn't let me. I understand that he needed closure from her, but it really bothered me. I was really confused. I asked if they had each other on social media. Wouldn't she give him the closure he wanted during those 8 years? Why now? He couldn't tell me. He said she would like his posts and follow both his private and public Instagram. Replying to his stories, he omitted the fact that he would reciprocate that energy and like all her posts. I don't get why you have meet up with her. It's been around or even more than 8 years. You haven't moved on? She obviously hurt you. So I don't know why you have to let her back in your life over and over again when I said I was uncomfortable even back then. You removed her for show. Then couldn't resist yourself to add her back. You wanted to keep something from that relationship. No matter how small it was. No matter if things had already ended. When you didn't like me having my hookups on social media anymore, I removed them for you. One of them that I used to chat with was so upset. But I shut them down. I no longer chat with him. I no longer have him on social media. I also lost a friend. I thought I was hurt by her. But in reality I don't think I really care what she does. What hurts me is not knowing what you're thinking. Tell me, why does she occupy your mind so much? What does she deserve to have you as a friend going forward? Why do you want her in your life so desperately? Why won't you let go? What does she really mean to you? Quote, in response he said he wanted her to be a close friend at most. Of all his friends he could have. How come his ex has to be his friend? They were only together for half a year. He said he was glad he did this because he wouldn't want this to happen after marriage and that it's over for him. Sure, if it's over for him. It definitely started a new thing for me. Does my 6 years with him really not mean a thing to him that he has to chase the 0.5 years he had with her? If they didn't meet, would after marriage he would still be wondering what if? He kept calling her a toxic mess. He said he will let go now, and I asked him what would he be doing if he wasn't letting go. What relationship does he want from her? He told me she in person asked to meet up with him. He said no. And via text, he said no again. He couldn't answer me. He said he will slowly fade away and expect her to leave him alone after she finds him uninterested. The only thing is that he still refuses to delete her off his social media. Am I being unfair? If he said he's moved on, why does he still need her social media? If she's a toxic mess, why does he need the reminder and to keep in touch? If you made it this far, thank you for reading the messy and incoherent thoughts from my mind. I've been bawling my eyes out and had to hide it from my family and friends. It really hurts and I'm really sad. Hashtag TLDR. My boyfriend, 29M, and I, 27F, have been together for 6 years. However, his ex, 29F, from a different country has always been in the back of his mind, as if he wished he was with her. Their relationship ended 8 years ago and lasted half a year, but he can't let her go. Recently he went back to his country and jumped at the chance with meeting her at her request. He says he's prepared to move on now but won't delete her socials. He told me she in person asked to meet him. He said no. And via text again, he said no. Am I unfair to ask him to remove her from his social media? Hashtag update 1. I have decided to block him on everything but one form of communication because I check on his apartment from time to time. He asked if he could say goodbye to her in person, then remove her. Didn't he say he let go of her? I told him that regardless if he goes to meet her or not, he has hurt our relationship. So sure, choose her again like he's always have. I told him that it makes me more confident not to be with him because he would use the rest of his life to blame me for making him get rid of her even though he said he has let go. Hashtag update 2. He now says he wants to delete her social media in front of me. He keeps saying, sorry, and, I'm a bad person. I'm so tired of it all. He said he has seen what type of person his ex is. That he wouldn't get back to her even if she had said yes. He says he understands that if I wanted to break up with him after the chat in person he would understand. Help me understand. Why was she an option in the first place? I don't want to hear his apologies anymore. To this day, to this very moment he can't delete her off his social media. That to me already tells me where his priorities lie. I told him to delete her social media or I won't talk to him in person. That's my boundary for now. Hashtag update 3. He said he was selfish and he loved himself more than anything. Hashtag update 4. We're now friends. Pretty bummed about it because I lost someone who I thought was my soulmate. He kept avoiding me and wouldn't talk to me. He said he was pressured by me and the more I did that, he would want to run away. I told him that if he ran away, he was doing exactly what his ex did to him. When I suggested therapy and counseling, when I wanted to call him, I felt like I was the only one trying in the relationship. Therapy was supposed to be the last resort and he used it as a magical solution to come back to. When he comes back, I told him I wasn't a problem he solves only when he is in Canada. If we were a long-term relationship, shouldn't he think of me when he's in a different country too? I showed him this Reddit thread and congrats you, good girls Guido. He was shook by the idea that he was in love with his fantasy, not the girl. He said he has always been afraid of telling me the truth because of how sensitive and a overthinker I was, and that the whole time he was trying to protect me, but it resulted in the opposite. This isn't the first time we had this conversation. I had always told him of how much I valued honesty. I asked him why he had to always second-guess the things I think every time. He was worried for my mental health state and that I would suicide. He was worried that he would not forgive himself for the rest of his life if it were to happen. Don't worry. I would never suicide for someone like him. He himself said he would not go back to his ex and that he's not ready for a GF currently. He is still holding on her social media. I'm glad he can finally be open and honest by talking to me again. It was very relieving, even though I know I have given the opportunity for him to hurt me again. He agreed to go to counseling as friends and we will see how that goes. It's honestly so hard. A week ago I thought he was my person when I sent him off in that taxi to the airport. I was so excited for his experiences and reunions. So happy he was able to go back to his first home. I wish I loved myself more to not give him more chances. I asked him if he thinks we will get back together after this. If he's willing to try, and he tells me he doesn't know. I think that speaks volumes because he doesn't even want to try. My relationship of 6 years is over. Reminder, I'm not the oop. Sorry. Did I miss the breakup somewhere along the line there? I don't want to be a jerk, but I can't make sense of half of this. I don't know how she does this. Just reading about it is exhausting as hell. Oop needs to put on her big girl pants and stop running after somebody who isn't actually interested in her. Neither as a boyfriend nor a friend. Friends don't treat you like this. She's 27. She sounds much younger than that. I hope she grows from this and learns what is and isn't acceptable behavior from a guy. And he's just pathetic. Oop should have completely dropped him. Gone. No contact ever again. And then his next girlfriend can bemoan the fact that he can't get over Oop. How did she last 6 years? One is plenty to realize he's not over his ex. It's such a bad idea. And I said as much on the original post. Why is she going to go to friends couples therapy with this guy? It's a painful and ineffective way to cling on to this guy who clearly is just basking in attention from both women. Gosh, you're so sensitive and an overthinker. That's why I'm going to lurk around drinking up your emotions and constantly dangling hints at a future relationship that will never happen, while doing the same, or just full-on dating the other girl instead of letting you move on with your life. He's not a good friend, so I'm not sure why she's staying friends with him. Friends don't hurt you like that. Therapy is a very good idea. For both of them. Separately. They dated 8 years ago and they are 29. I mean, he's basically pining for his youth more than the girl, because who doesn't miss being 21 and in love with the whole world ahead of you? Also, people change so much between 21 and 29 that he doesn't even know who the ex is at this point. He sounds incredibly emotionally stunted. OOP's gonna forgive him, marry him, have 2 kids and divorce at age 38. Damn, he's a dumbass. I hope Oop finds the courage to go and see with him. This person isn't a good one to keep in life, be it as a BF or friend. Choose yourselves. My peeps. If you don't do it, don't expect others to. Huge red flag. Dude calling his ex-GF snake and toxic. Just because she didn't want to wait for him while he was going to live in another country. Her reaction is perfectly reasonable after a 6-month relationship. The dude has lived in Canada for 8 years now. His reaction? Horrible. Unreasonable. Dude with a hurt ego. Op should have seen that by what it was. A huge red flag, and never date this dude for 6 freaking years. I'm exhausted just thinking about that situation, let alone trying to live it. Neither one of these people look good here. Is this really a whole relationship drama over who has their exes as friends on social media? Plus, one of them once meets up with an ex that he hasn't seen in years. It sounds like an exhausting relationship. For both of them. Probably time to give that one up. I knew I could never mean more to him than her. Oop is an idiot to have started a relationship knowing this from the very beginning. Don't worry, I would never suicide for someone like him. Sent me. Hilarious. Why date someone you can't trust in the first place? He was worried for my mental health state and that I would suicide. He values himself far too much to think someone would end their life because of him.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Cast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.